And happy Wednesday, everybody. And welcome to episode 36 of the Pinche Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Chris Orozco. He's a Marine Corps Devil Dog, a black belt Jiu-Jitsu beginner, right? Because we're all beginners. He has a pajama line, which I want to learn more about that. And he's just a total badass. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I want to say real quickly, for one of the first times we've had a lot of badasses on here. I'm actually very scared of sitting next to them.
I agree.
Do you want a hug?
Do you want a hug?
No, I've been hugged. That's one reason why I am very scared, is because your hugs have intent.
Killer intent. Good. Hey, yeah, Chris, do you want to bring that microphone closer?
Yeah. Is that better?
Can you hear yourself a little bit closer? A little bit closer.
Is that better?
All right. Look at that.
See, even the microphone's scared of them.
See, yeah, it's all running away. So, Chris, tell us something good. Something good that happened today. Just something simple. It could be as simple as, you waking up or whatever.
The weather was nice enough that I took my motorcycle out for a spin during lunch.
No, that's freaking amazing. I know we're in, it's January, right?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you another question, confuse you. What year is it?
It's,
there we go.
2024.
Yeah. 2024. I got it. Hell yeah. Rah, rah, rah. That's all I need to say. So we're in January and you're going for a ride on your motorcycle.
Yes.
How cool is that? What was the weather like today? I didn't even go outside.
I think it was
today.
like 65-ish.
Damn.
Right around then. Warm enough for me to want to take the bike out and not freeze.
Yeah.
I'm a little baby, so some people do colder. I don't do it.
No, I don't like it either. What kind of motorcycle do you ride?
Harley Fat Boy. I actually got two of them.
Nice.
Yeah. 2020 is my new one. I just bought it, and I want to be on it.
Nice. Love it. What about you, Mr. Joe-Jitsu?
Again, it's just the time of the year for reflection.
I thought you were going to say it was the time of the month, but
well,
it's all good.
That's probably why our female audience isn't existing right now. But you keep making those jokes, bud.
That wasn't bad. What are you talking about?
No, it wasn't.
So tell us something good about the time of the month that you're on. And
well,
that cycle.
I'm back in the classroom, as our huge viewership knows that back in the classroom and with my students, and I get to see their faces and sharing stories and setting goals. So that's what's good.
Nice. Love it. Love it. For me, I woke up, like I said, that's enough, right? That's a win. That's something to be grateful about. And also my beautiful pillow. I always talk about my pillow because it supports my big head and it's great. So something to be grateful and thankful about.
Well, I'm glad you woke up, and I'm happy to see you here today.
Hell yeah. Hey, everybody, give them one. See, they don't understand. I'm getting hungry. Here you go. You can have some crayons. Edible crayons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
They're real.
Yeah, they're real.
They're real crayon candy.
They're real yummy.
Real yummy.
So,
Luis doesn't eat the candy. He actually eats a container.
Hey, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what's up? Tell us your story. What's going on?
My story. Where do you want to start? You already gave them. I'm a Marine and a Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and that's all the internet knows about me.
Oh, well, now let's go back to when you joined the Marine Corps. How old were you?
Straight out of high school. I think I signed the late entry as soon as I possibly could.
Nice.
So 17 then, went as soon as I graduated, and so I was in at 18. Yeah.
Why'd you, I know he's going to ask, so I'll beat him to it. Why'd you join the Marine Corps?
To pay for college.
Well, why not the Air Force or the Navy?
Because I'm about to have the IQ of a Marine.
Hey, that's straight up.
A lot of my friends were joining, or not a lot. All the guys that I knew that I were friends with were joining the Marines, and that was the first recruiter I talked to.
Yeah.
And he came up to me. Well, I was talking to him. He's like, "What's your plan after high school?" And I said, "I want to go to college." He's like, "How are you going to pay for that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I asked my mom and my dad, how can we pay for that? I was like, "I can't afford it." And then the recruiters said, "I can." So I signed the papers.
Simple as that. Yeah.
So just from the high school aspect, and then we have recruiters come on campus. So there was something about that first interaction with that recruiter that you liked, something appealing, because some of my students will explore other branches of the military to see what would be the best fit for them. But was it just you're a young kid and you're just like, I'm going to sign up, that's good enough for me? Or
honestly, the other recruiters didn't come to my school.
Oh.
So I didn't really have the opportunity to look in the other ones, and I kind of liked what he had to offer.
Yeah.
Granted, thinking back, I probably would have joined the Army.
Really?
Only just talking from a smart decision of a high school kid. It was we were post 9/11. The Army was offering $50K sign-on bonus.
Oh my God, that's right.
And I asked the Marines, like, "Well, what do you guys do?" He's like, "You get the title of a Marine."
That's
like,
it.
All right, well, whatever. I still did it.
And as a stepson of a Marine, not only do you get the title Marine, you get a badass uniform and a badass sword, and you get to see all those cool little whatever you guys do to each other. Yeah, and then you got Semper Fi. So just being a military brat, living on the base a little bit, and
Are these actual crayons?
Yeah.
I'm over here digging at it. Look at this pile.
don't eat the top of it, but you can.
Oh, you can eat it. I mean, it's okay. It'll be a more
A
familiar.
real crayon eater.
It'll be a more familiar taste. But yeah, you can.
Told you, IQ not very high.
So stop it. Oh, what? So you went to college?
Yes.
What? Oh, nice.
I actually haven't wore this sweater in a long time, and I've grabbed it for today for whatever reason. My college buddies mentioned something about ISU. They were talking about it's their time to shine now that Nick Saban's retiring, and it was just a joke. And I'm like, oh, I happen to be wearing it. Now I'm getting asked about it, so kind of ironic.
Nice.
Yeah. So after I got out, I went to Illinois State.
And then what did you study?
Information systems as IT.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with a specialization in cybersecurity.
Okay, so what was your draw to that?
Speaking of.
Yeah. So of the things that you can do, again, I'm just speaking from the teacher standpoint, students using the military as a great opportunity to pay for college, get experience, maturity, learn more about the world, being able to see other parts of the world outside of their bubble that they grew up maybe being young. What drew you into that particular degree?
I didn't really pick what I was going to do in the Marines. At the time, and back in the day, we had our first computer, so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to fix it, because my siblings would break it. Someone had to fix it, and I'm just like, I'm tinkering with it. And I managed to fix it. And that was when I was talking to my recruiter. He's like, all right, well, maybe we could try to get you in the IT area. I didn't know anything about it, to be honest. I'm just like, all right, just send me wherever you're going. Send me infantry, I'll do that. Like, it's just my goal was to pay for college.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got me in the IT. And when I got out, I was like, well, I don't really know what I want to do, but I have 5 years of experience that I don't want to waste. Right. And at that time, the IT market was one of the better fields to be in. So that's kind of why I went with it.
You just went with the
flow.
With the flow, yeah. I love that.
Which isn't a bad thing, and like we talk in other podcasts, sometimes just riding that wave and going with the flow is actually the way to go.
Yeah.
So just going with that.
Ignorance is sometimes.
If we're talking about kids that are 18, that's the time where they should be chasing their passion. So hopefully they figure that out. And I didn't have that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have an answer. I didn't even when I got out of the military. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. So I went with the flow, but don't let that stop you from chasing your dreams.
Awesome. And then how was your time at college? Because now you're coming out of, how many years were you in the military?
5.
And now you're going into college. How was that for you?
Interesting. It was a big transformation.
What year was this?
2010.
Okay.
Yeah. And I associated college with I hear all these protesting things from like the 70s and stuff, and I was like asking questions. They're like, "What? It's a different time," and I'm like, "Oh, well, I have no idea." I do know, like, Illinois, the super liberal, and I'm going there. They're not the biggest fan of military and all that, and so I was just like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm going for the education, but like the veterans, we find each other. My very first class, some guys, he said something about being in the Navy, and the first thing I did was start talking shit to him, and him, and then another guy was in the Army. He came over, and like we were best friends for that whole year, and like even after, like through all the college, we hung out a lot.
Yeah, that's typical, right?
Yeah,
we find each
my
other.
dad was Navy, so I was able to kind of see.
My dad was Navy too.
Yeah, so stepdad Marines, bio dad Navy. I almost went military, but I went a different route, obviously. And then,
but the military back then was a lot different. This was like back in the Roman.
Well, the reason I didn't do it because
the
I'm older
Roman
than you
times.
guys. Well, you have to stand up.
He's that old.
And musket load. and you stand in a line, and then you're wearing these wool uniforms.
You didn't like that.
And then you got some guy on a hill just saying charge, and then you're running, and then you shoot your musket off, and then there's
you got to reload.
and you got to reload. And I was good at it.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you like to reload.
I like to fire too.
It's taking me a really long time to load that musket there, Joe.
Well,
why are you so slow?
well, back then
I'm just packing it in there real good.
they didn't have fluffers back then either.
Packing it in.
Oh,
All right.
we were good for like 10 minutes and already were, but that's part of it.
We're getting it back. Okay, so you, so you joined the Marine Corps, boom, went to college, and then what's up? Then what happened? Well, hold on, because jiu-jitsu. When does jiu-jitsu enter?
So a few years after college. So I'll link the two, right? So I graduated college. And I'm looking for IT jobs, and I'm not finding what I want in Illinois. And I was talking to the recruiters, and they said the market's best in Dallas at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, easy. I don't want to be up north. I want to move down to Texas anyways, right?
Bam.
The state of Texas. And I had family in Dallas. So I packed up everything and moved to Dallas, and I started looking there. And during this time, like after... I have a wrestling background, and I didn't really do much wrestling in the Marines, but I did the club team in college, at least for 1 year, and I was about 165 is what I wrestled at, and then I started doing my internship there, and I just stopped caring, and I'm about my weight, and I blew up, and I was about 215 pounds. And during that time, that's during the time when I graduated, I was a bigger guy. And so when I moved to Dallas, it was kind of a lot more of that. I was just like eating, drinking, working. And one day I just looked at myself. I'm like, you're disgusting. You got to do something about this. And so I went to a UFC gym, started doing some of the cardio kickboxing. There's another Marine there who's teaching striking. And he just, I talked to him a little bit. And then he's like, I see the way you look at the cage when they were doing jiu-jitsu. And he's like, I'm going to let you do the rest of this month for free. And if you like it, we're going to add it to your membership.
Nice.
And
wow.
I stepped into that class, and I didn't look back.
Nice. And it was gi or no gi?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly it was gi. It was only 4 classes a week, though.
Okay.
So I didn't stay there long.
Mm-hmm.
The guy I knew, he wound up moving away. He was actually coaching like real MMA fighters at the point, so he took a good opportunity. And there's changes in my life, just like, hey, I'm going to move. That's when I moved away from that gym. I was like, I'm going to look for a real jiu-jitsu gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found a gym, started training there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really hit the ground running. I think I was training like 14 hours a week.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's...
And then what...
Damn, that's intense.
What year was that? How long have you been practicing or training jiu-jitsu? How many years has it been?
It was 9 years as of November.
So
Nice.
in 9 years for the listening audience and the viewership.
2014. I started in November 2014, somewhere in the end there.
And then you're a first degree black belt.
Yes.
In 9 years. That's very impressive, at least from what I know.
Well, 14 hours a week.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I get this a lot. I was promoted to black belt in 5 years, but I bring in the 8 years of wrestling, 8 seasons of wrestling that I had in the background, intense training, and pretty much doing private lessons weekly through purple belt because I had the time. I could do that. I didn't have the other obligations to stop me. So there's caveats to that, I know. And even then, I felt I was promoted early. So, like, when I got it, I was like, I had to grow in to feel like I'm a black belt.
Right.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. I felt like I got promoted a little early to purple belt. And
you were like a blue belt for as long as he's been training, dude. You were like a blue belt for what, like 6 years?
Yeah, a little early. I think it was premature on that purple belt.
So we all know what a coral belt is, correct?
Yes.
But that's designated as specifically for black belt level. This is the first blue belt coral belt. He was a blue belt so long. He's the only one on the planet to be a coral belt blue because he was a blue belt for so long.
So how long were you a blue belt?
About 6.
About 6 years.
Six
Okay.
years, maybe 7.
I know a guy who's he wound up quitting. I don't know if he was white or a blue belt. He came back now. He's a brown belt now, but he started training again because he became a cop.
Uh-huh.
And and then he stayed with it.
Yeah.
So he's probably one of those stories. I'm like, yeah, I was just doing it for whatever, and then he just disappeared. And like, had he stayed with it, he would have been a black belt before all of us.
Yeah. I know. One of the things that made me slow down and not worry about the belt, it was fall in love with the process, right? Fall in love with the belt. Don't think about the belt.
Oh, you were in love with your blue belt, dude. Your blue belt lasted almost as long as most marriages.
You're tapping into something that I was hoping to talk to you guys. Like falling in love with the process. This is like, anytime someone asks me, what advice would you give a white belt? And the first thing is like, it's falling in love with the process. It's, they asked me, I was taught this very early, is if your goal is a blue belt, you're going to quit a blue belt. If your goal is a black belt, you're going to quit a black belt. And this hits home for me. I got like some stuff like that was related, like that happened, but when I got my blue belt, because I had the wrestling, I was pretty dominant at white belt, and so I'm like, all right, when am I getting my blue belt? But when I got my purple belt, it came out of nowhere, and I didn't think I was ready, and then I went and like won my first purple belt tournament, and I was like, okay, so maybe I was maybe I was ready, and like for me, my coach wasn't great at striping. He just promoted people when he felt need. He didn't keep up with it. He was pretty notorious for that.
That's old. Yeah, that's old school.
Yeah.
How long have you been training? About 5 years.
Like,
oh, you're due for a stripe.
Right. It's like all of a sudden you have one stripe, and then next day you're getting a belt. It's like, I was like, huh, coach wasn't paying attention. Well, he was paying attention. He just didn't care to do the stripe.
I was at a gym once, and I don't mean to cut you off. There was I think the guy was like a blue belt, 2-stripe, and the professor at this gym, I won't say which gym I was at, so behind. Not only did the guy get the belt,
he also got stripes on it.
2 stripes on top of the belt. I was like,
wow.
He went from a 2-stripe white belt to get his blue belt and 2 stripes because I guess it was like over a year you didn't get anything. And so, oh gosh, it was just like, wow. And it wasn't a ceremony. It was at the end of class, which was even, yeah.
Here's where I think you are.
Yeah.
1, 2. Congratulations.
Yeah. But to continue on that, setting little goals will make you find the happiness like faster, like the accomplishment of what you're doing. So instead of saying, oh, I'm training to get my blue belt, which can come in 2 years or whatever, like this week I learned this guard pass. I do a lot of DVD studying. So I'm like, I'm going to work this guard pass. I'm going to hit it on a white belt. Check. Celebrate. I'm going to hit it on a blue belt. Check. I'm going to hit it on a purple belt. Check. And you set it for where you're at, right? If you're purple belt, you can go up there. If you hit it on a brown belt, awesome. Right? Or like or purple belt for you guys. Like, and then it's like, okay, and I work that. And I'm like, okay. Once I get pretty comfortable and I integrate it into my game, I'm like, all right, pick something new. What's my new challenge? How am I challenging myself this week, this month? And those are the little victories. And then it's like, can I do it in competition? I've been practicing this long enough. I'm hitting on a lot of people, so let's go try it in a live competition. So those little things like that, all of a sudden you're not worried about what belt, and then boom, like, oh, you gave me a belt. Like I wasn't done with my checklist. Like I was still working on some stuff over here, and like boom, the belts are coming now, because now you're just constantly have these little goals.
Yeah, it's kind of like putting on blinders. You know, the horse, when they're racing, they got these blinders because they don't want them to see what's going on. They want them to focus on the race, the performance. So kind of reminds me of that. And yeah, fall in love with the process.
And then it's similar, and then it's like the teacher brain of me, where it's a real life example of SMART goals. It's just very small steps that you can actually look at, where it's not, it's this big general goal. Like I told my students, I want to be a blue belt. Well, what does that mean? You know, but he says, I'm studying DVDs. This is one specific technique I want to use. I'm going to start with white belts, and then I'm going to focus on that. That's my purpose when I go to the gym. And when I achieve that, next step, next step. And I like that, because what happens is, the belt's not driving him. He has developed his own checklist, like you said, goals to keep him motivated, to enjoy that. And then when he goes in there, it also helps him focus on a specific thing. And that's probably another great reason, besides him having a wrestling background, why he was promoted so quickly, because it's not only just his background, it's just also how he develops as a practitioner of jiu-jitsu, which is interesting.
So wouldn't that be like those micro goals, right? Wouldn't that kind of be like when you do the move of the day, right? You learned, you're at class, you got the move of the day, but we only do that move of the day that week, right? Or it's just taught that week, and then we tend to forget about it.
Yeah.
How do you stay focused on that move the following week with the new move coming?
All right. I have a sorry to all the other professors out there. I think that's great for white belts, because they don't know anything yet. But once you start getting colored belts, you start taking control of what you want to work on, right? Most classes are geared toward the brand new person. It's like, okay, so we're going to do this arm bar. I'm like, well, I'm content with my arm bar. I want to keep working my guard pass. So in my roles, I'm like, all right, I'll drill the arm bar. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to work on it. If I'm in mount, like, or whatever, like, I'll hit the arm bar if I'm in position, but my goal is to focus on the guard pass. And like, the better you get, you can have multiple goals in a row. Like, if I'm in guard, I'm working this, like, particular sweep to get on top. Then once I get to mount, I'm working this. Right? So you can have like a couple goals. You don't want to overdo it. Two, 3 at most. And so like, maybe you can just flow through, like, all right, my goal is to hit this sweep, and then it is to hit this guard pass, then it's hit this submission, right? And just little things that kind of make it flow together. I'm big on making everything flow together anyways. So the higher you get, you're able to do that. The lower belts, they don't know enough to do that yet, so their goal is to hit the move of the day.
Right.
All right. And then like, I have a philosophy when it comes to belt levels. White belts, you're just there to defend and just like learn. Yeah. Blue belts, you're going to learn anything, right? YouTube will show them anything, right? You're not going to be good at it. But you want to learn everything. And then as you progress purple, you want to start taking away, right? This move doesn't fit my game. Right? So I'm going to start narrowing down. Brown belt, you're honing that in. Black belt, you have the game plan. Joe and I talk a lot about game planning, right?
Yes. Like, that's one thing I've been really working on with you working on me. Like, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I developed the game plan. I'm like, there's certain moves that just don't fit my game, so I don't waste my time on them. And I'm not a fan of novelty moves. Like, you're never gonna see me try to do or teach a buggy choke.
How dare you?
Yeah. That's sweet. Like, people who do it, they got it, but if you build a whole game around that, I'm like, you're building a whole game around getting your guard passed. I don't think that's really helpful.
What about a flying triangle?
I don't fly.
But I get it. What you're saying is, try to figure out what your strengths are, and then your purpose is to refine it and keep working on it. And then you probably also recommend, well, you've told me, start with the white belts and then work your way out. And then go to your professors and other people that do it well, and then tweak it and keep working on that skill until you are able to get to a level that you think you're good with, and then add another tool into your tool belt.
Yep.
It's
and
awesome.
Like your move, like every grappler has about 3 or 4 moves that's their go-to. It's usually one from guard or one from mount, like back, something like that. The novelty stuff, like the people have it, like, but those guys who are really good at like a buggy choke, they are good at other areas, so they can recover their guard if they need to. Not to knock them, it's just not something I'm gonna do, right? But like those guys, like they have to have more than just that, right?
Yeah.
And so every grappler's gonna have those 3 or 4 moves. They're gonna be able to link between those. And as you're coming up and you're like, all right, today, like we learned this move, or I'm practicing this, I'm like, oh, I'm finding this really works for me. I'm gonna replace this as my move and guard now. So I'm no longer chasing my old move. I replaced it. So like I said, everybody's only gonna have like 3 or 4. Even the best grapplers are gonna have like 3 or 4 moves that they're gonna be known for. I think Gordon said, "Be the best in the world. To be the best in the world, be the best at like 1 or 2 things, and be good at everything else." Right?
Yeah.
So I find that like most grapplers, I can identify 3 moves ish that's what they go to.
So on that note, what are your 3?
Okay, I thought you were going to brag about yours, but let's talk about this because I know what you're going to say. But go ahead.
So getting on the back, I really like to do the rear naked choke. From mount, it's an armbar, and from guard, it's triangle.
Okay.
And so I'm aiming for, like, if I'm in the guard, I'm aiming for a triangle. Mount, I go for an armbar. If I'm on the back, I'll try to do the rear naked choke.
Which is interesting. I didn't think you'd say, I know the rear naked choke is one of your things, but considering how well versed, in my opinion, you are with the leg game too. So is that something you would consider? I'm aware of it, I'm good at it, but my go-tos are those 3 things.
So as I get older and I learn more about jiu-jitsu, the leg lock game is great. Things come in fads, right? The leg locks was a fad, right? Come through. The buggy choke was a fad, and there's all these little things come and go.
Jamie, can you pull up the buggy?
Jamie.
So you can show our audience at home what a buggy choke is.
Buggy choke is.
Renee Souza is really good at him. He's known for him. Right, he's a good grappler.
Let me see hit play. Let's go ahead and hit play.
Oh, in 30 seconds, check this out.
All right, let's see it.
So he's bottom side control, and he's trapping a head and arm like a triangle in there.
Okay. Oh dear.
And he's squeezing the shoulder into the head just like a triangle, like you would a triangle or a dart.
What? Oh, okay. I see it. Damn, that one's dangerous.
That doesn't fit my philosophy of jiu-jitsu, because I never want to give up the guard pass in order to attack that.
Right. So he has to be, that's side control.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, side control.
Yeah, so you're bottom side control. Like, you better be really comfortable escaping side control if you're going to try something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of my things is that I'm learning from the black belts. And one of the OGs, a black belt psychologist, he's like, he doesn't really work, and he does, but he said, I don't really work bottom side control because I'm never going to be on the bottom. That's just his mentality. It'll happen sometimes, but with something like that, what I'm thinking about is you're going to be maybe more comfortable with being bottom side control. I know that's one of my worst positions. It was like when I was working with Professor Odin, and I was like, well, I want to work on, what was it exactly? I want to work on, it was something bottom side control, actually. I forget what it was. And he said, well, then it's like in your mind, you're just accepting the fact you're going to be in bottom side control. Why don't you work? Oh, I was working on bottom side control escapes. And he said, but you're not working on keeping your guard. He says, why don't we go back a step and work on having a good guard? And if you have a good guard, then you're not being caught as much maybe in bomb side control. So I was looking at the worst point where like it was like, oh, that's
too late
shit's
by then.
in the fan. But he's like, why don't we go back a couple steps and work on you trying to maintain guard? So it's like that mindset thing. And the buggy choke, from what I think I'm understanding, is like, yeah, you better be damn comfortable. And then you got to hit it right, too, because from my understanding, it's kind of hard to hit it.
It's definitely a lanky move for lanky people, and I am not that. So that's
Oh,
also
I
another
am
reason why I
not.
don't do it. But I prefer to play a top game anyways, and especially in competition.
Why so?
There's more ways to score from the top.
Oh, according to the rule set?
Yeah. If there's points, the only way you can score from the guard is to sweep them or take their back.
Yeah.
All right, and then you usually pull guard to get there or get taken down, right? So if you're going to have the takedown, right, there's points to be on top, right? You pass the guard, you can go to knee on belly, you can go to side control, you can go to mount, and then go to back.
Okay, so then just for the audience and for me, I get confused why people like to pull guard from the onset. That's just...
I know the answer to this.
Okay, I would like to know the answer.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, there's a few reasons. Learning takedowns, wrestling or judo is hard. It's rough on the body. If you don't do it, very few people actually rank up and get skilled in wrestling. Wrestling ends unless you're an elite, like Olympian, it ends at college. And a lot of wrestlers don't even make it to college, right? So wrestling ends at roughly 23. You're young and healthy. As an adult, you're not going to get the wrestling level of training you need, and to take that kind of beating on your body, it hurts. Same for judo, getting tossed.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't have it, you usually don't get it. Some people learn some moves, but they don't really know the details of on how to set these things up, and they drill it and they can go through the drill, but then it goes competition time. They can't do it because they can't set it up properly.
Yeah.
So it's
all bets are off.
And you save a lot of energy not doing that just by sitting to your butt. So with the way jiu-jitsu is taught today, it's too convenient just to sit guard.
So do you like that way of people handling it, or do you think that people should also focus on the stand-up game if they want to compete in jiu-jitsu?
You have to have a stand-up game if you want to compete. At least you might not need to be able to take someone down, but you need to defend takedowns.
Right.
Yeah.
To prevent their strength.
Yes, because if, say, you're passing my guard,
which will never happen, but we can
a hypothetical situation, Joe. It'll happen.
I was just going to comment on that.
It's like,
hypothetically, for instructional purposes only.
Joe's passing my guard.
yay!
I have an IBJJF, right? Or in most rule sets, I have 3 seconds to recover so you don't score. So if you're knee cutting past me, all right, I turtle. Turtle's a guard,
Yes.
right? From turtle, I find the easiest way to gather is work back to my feet and back to wrestling.
Oh,
Yeah. All right.
I see what you're saying.
And that's in the IBJJF rules. If they go to pass, it doesn't work. They might get an advantage, but you go to the feet, there's no points. So once I'm on the feet, if I want to pull guard, right, then I can. So let's say I'm on top and now I'm passing your guard. Okay, I'm going for the pass. I mess up, and now you're about to sweep me. If I concede the sweep, I give up 2 points. If I get back to my feet and I'm neutral again, I can establish a neutral, pull guard, and I can still be on bottom and not let you score.
I see. So
Yeah.
it's a good defense in a way, and it
so-
allows you to set up your sweep.
It's his game plan.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable on my feet.
But you see how he's able to look at 2 situations where you and I would be kind of like, what's going on? And then he just this is what I do. I go into turtle, I stand up, and be right back up.
I see.
Yeah, I have some videos. I showed this guy's about to sweep me. So I sprawl out to my feet. We wind up neutral. I find it's a cool video. I just grab his gi and throw him to the mat.
And then you're back up.
Yeah, so I'm back on top. So I threw him down the mat. He wound up in turtles. I never lost my position, even though he tried to he was about to sweep me. and no points were scored.
Speaking about tournaments, some people practice jiu-jitsu for whatever reason, but there's, at least in my experience, there's a surprising small percentage of people that actually will compete and compete routinely, and you've done that at different levels. What's the draw for you of competing in tournaments?
So,
and you've done things like Fight to Win and
yeah,
ADCC and all that.
I've done a lot. So I was invited to an EBI qualifier.
Oh, wow!
That was a big
Congrats.
one. Yeah, so I've done some Fight to Wins, super fights. I had a couple other pro invitationals, the Midwest finishers. I don't know. At first, I told you I was big and I had to lose some weight, so it was weight loss goals first. I'm joining this tournament because I have to hit this weight. And granted, I didn't do it the right way, and I did the water cuts like we did for wrestling. But
yes,
through white belt, I did lose the weight. I was down to 175-ish, about what I'm at now. Actually, a little bit lighter than what I'm at
What'd you
now.
weigh when you got out of boot camp?
Out of boot camp? So I actually put on weight in boot camp.
What?
Yeah. So because I kept my weight
that's a lot
pretty
of
low.
crayons.
All right,
Carb
we're gonna
free.
rewind my diet story here. So I wrestled for pretty much most of my childhood. And I kept my weight pretty low. So I think senior year I wrestled at 140, and then my last year of wrestling's done. I started eating. I was 150 when I graduated and went to boot camp. I came out at 165. It was a good build. Like I was building muscle and stuff, and like part of it was like I was keeping my weight low. So
Yeah, I
I
can
don't know what
imagine
I was
you look
doing.
really sexy.
And, about as sexy as I do. Well, no, I'm sexier now. I got this beard.
Yeah.
Fear the beard.
Yeah. So in the Marines, I was about 175 afterwards because like once I realized I started putting on the weight, I got into lifting and stuff. I was like, let's go this route. And I like lifting. And I was like, what potential do I have with getting stronger? And then the rest of it was bad diet. And that's why I got fat. I got to 215 pounds.
Yeah.
When I started, so I was like chunky.
How tall?
5'7".
Yeah.
On a good day when I round up.
Yeah.
I know. I'm shrinking.
Yeah, when I came-
I feel
Don't
your
tell
pain.
her, Rachel.
Yeah, when I came back to jiu-jitsu after a 2-year layoff, I was 209, and I can really relate. It's just you have like this disgust, at least for me, with myself, and that was the main. Well, and then the mental health aspect that I talk about. Those are the two main reasons I came back to jiu-jitsu after 2 years. It's just I needed to work on myself physically and mentally. So yeah, I get it. And it's hard.
Yeah. So I lost track where I was going with that. We're talking about my weight. I got up to 215.
Tournaments. And then why you did tournaments.
Okay, yeah. So I started, it was like setting weight goals. The problem is that I had the wrestling background. I was a white belt, and I won. And so it's like, okay, everybody likes to win, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm very experienced with mat sports, wrestling. Like, it felt natural. It felt normal for me.
Yeah.
Even though I spent a long time away from it. And this is another interesting thing, too. Like, why do I spend my time talking to Joe? How much money have I charged you, Joe?
You haven't charged me
Okay.
anything, but the
Wait.
thing is,
Here's why.
Wait, hold on. How is he paying you then? Like, seriously.
Well, we're going to have to cut the cameras off.
well, we already are a borderline podcast.
No, all right.
That's
so
a different podcast. And I'll tell you what, we would have more than 35 listeners and viewers if him and I put on a
35,000.
show. Yeah.
definitely 36.
Yeah.
36 is the magic number.
Yeah.
Episode 36.
Yes. And HEB would be all over the sponsorship. Johnsonville Sausages, sponsored by.
Oh man.
All right.
At that point, we can have an OnlyFans
So
page. for
when
you.
I wrestled, I was not the guy. I was the beat up dummy. There's a lot better wrestlers, and every time you do that, and you guys will see it in the room if you pay attention. The coaches, they pay attention to the best guys. They want the guys they can market. It's like, all right, so and so, like, they're kicking ass. Like, we need to build them. We need to pro this. It's gonna help. It's gonna help get people in the door. We're gonna market, and this is very, very natural. So when I was wrestling, I was not that guy.
Mhm.
I was a JV wrestler for the first couple of years. I wrestled varsity as a senior, but I never qualified for state. So I was never that good. But when I started jiu-jitsu, all of a sudden, because I had a wrestling background compared to everybody else in the room, like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this guy's good. We can do something with him. And I'm like, so now I had coaches interest in me. And I'm already an adult. And I'm like, so I know both sides of it.
Yep.
And I think it sucks. So I'm always one of the last people to leave because if people have questions, I make sure to answer their questions. That's why I talk to you. Anybody if they come with a question. I
love asking questions.
I'm not like, yeah, that'll be $10. I'll teach you buy a private lesson and I will teach you. I'm like, if people want to buy private lessons, that's great. If it's going to be longer than like a couple of minutes, then I would advise them to do something like that. But like, I'm not just going to not answer your question. It's not a money grab. So it's kind of why. That's why I was like, I know both sides. I know what it's like to be ignored. I know what it's like to have like people want to invest in my game.
Yeah, I love it. Our academy, I think, does our gym, because people call it gym here, but I've been taught
dojo
to say no. It's not supposed to be called dojo. I heard. I don't know. It's the academy.
You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, that place we go and get beat up. My hand hurts so bad, by the way. I can't close my ADD. But yeah, I think Academy does a good job at helping each other because, there's some white belts that are, I don't know if I make myself approachable, so they ask me, and that's one thing we have to keep in mind, and be approachable.
If you have a colored belt, a brand new guy is not going to know the difference between a blue and a black. They might know the black belt. Everybody knows, like, oh, black belt. But every belt in between, they're not going to know. They could think you're minutes away from your black belt. Yeah. Like a brand new person. They got to learn.
Yeah. So the attitude, being approachable, I think is huge.
Let's paying it forward, too. Just when it's Bruno, when it's Professor Odin, when it's Chris here, and they're putting time into me, what I try to do.
Wait, what are they putting into you?
Putting time into me.
What the heck is going on?
And you know what? If you ask more questions, you might get out of your purple belt before 6-year limit, dude.
Well, Joe doesn't do takedowns, so he earned that brown belt on his back.
The best thing about a brown belt is when I shit myself and the black belt's being on me. Matches my shorts.
Oh, man.
So you have tournaments, but...
Then you take it there.
Oh, yeah. I'll take it wherever you want, baby. So you do tournaments because it's mainly weight loss, but then...
That's a white belt.
That's at a white belt.
But then you continue, and that's in... Just like even doing, no offense to Naga, like a Naga to a IBJJF, that's a step. And then there's different levels of IBJJF.
I disagree.
Really?
I disagree. It depends on what your goals are.
Okay. I like that answer.
I did 2 IBJJFs, one at white belt, one at blue belt, and then I didn't do any more IBJJFs until I was black belt.
Okay. But you were competing, though.
I was competing a lot.
Okay.
And like all the local tournaments.
Okay.
I mean, like, so if you want to compete, you got to build a resume. Like, it starts like, okay, I'm winning. So I'm collecting these medals. And that's when the bigger events.
Wait, medals is plural. I don't know what that word is. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure you have a couple of bronzes in a 2-man bracket.
Yes.
There's multiple medals there.
You'd be surprised how many people at tournaments actually leave them in the locker rooms and the bathrooms. I just pick them up. Take them home.
Yeah.
But so you keep competing, and again, I'm getting the sense where you have these goals, you have these doable goals. It doesn't matter the level of the belt or even the level of the tournament. You're just set these little goals. You set these specific goals routinely to get something that you want that's bigger than that individual.
Yeah. So the competition was really just to keep myself honest. Like, and the blue and purple, I didn't have the game plan thing down at those belts. I'm still developing. So it's just keep myself honest. Competing, you get the nerves, right? So you've all competed, right? Mm-hmm. Right. The first one, man, you're out there and like, I'm gonna shit my pants or whatever. Like, this, like, it's just like I have no idea what's going on. I just rolled like garbage. Like, oh, excuse me. If you don't practice competing, that happens a lot. So now, like, I can go out and match with composure. I know what I'm doing. I'm very comfortable. And that's because I'm just practicing putting myself in these, like, high-pressure situations regularly. So, like, that was the goal. It's like, I try to compete once a month. Just so, like, just so if the super fights there's another fad that came through, like the fight to wins, the super fights, they became a big thing. And so I'm like, if I had one of those coming up, of course, there's a lot of, like, the flashlights, the rock star, the promotion behind it.
Yeah, walk-up music, all that.
Yeah, and so, like, I would do a tournament before that. You know, just you know, like, keep myself fresh. So I'm working on, like, what I'm doing. And like I said, every month I had something. So it was either a super fight or a tournament. And you rack those up, like, those wins. Like, okay, he's won. I've seen this dude win, like, an AGF, a Naga. It's like, hey, let's he's definitely worthy of being on our card or super fight. Let's match him up with another good guy. Let's get him out there. You win that, all of a sudden you start climbing, right? You don't just go, like, boom, and all of a sudden I'm fighting for the worlds.
No.
And, like,
oh, that would be
like, even in IBJJF, your goal's IBJJF, like, to get in the gi worlds, you have to like, compete in the regular ones. Like, you can't just sign up for gi worlds. You can in no gi. You can just sign up for no gi worlds. But, like, gi worlds, you can't.
You have to earn your way to that competition. Okay, so then are you still competing? Are you taking a break? What do you have currently going on?
I have I did a competition in November, but I slowed it down.
2 months ago, and he slowed it down.
Slowed it down, just last week.
Haven't done the tournament in December, and it's only January.
Well, I'll tell you, if I do one, if I tell you I'm doing one a month,
and you skip,
it's January.
Yeah, you missed December, so
it was like that before the November thing. That was just a cool opportunity I wanted to do. Otherwise, I probably would have said, and I would have been out for a few months. But I'm trying to let an injury heal.
Good, that's smart.
And I think, too, like, I have to step up my level of training for competition.
I understand that, especially at your level.
Yeah, and every time I try to step up my level of training, I tend to tweak that injury.
Okay.
So it's like I'm really just trying to, like, I roll really easy right now. I can count, like, anytime I start rolling hard, it's usually when it gets tweaked. And
oh my God, I'm feeling worse about myself now.
And, it's like,
Did you mess him up?
No,
it wasn't him.
He has an injury, and anytime I try, and then I'm just thinking of my recent rolls with him. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, super tight.
Don't feel bad, Joe. No. It's because you're old.
Yeah, just like, what?
He's not just old.
What happens when this guy's 100% and he's actually competition training?
Well, you missed my roll with T tonight. I worked really hard to sweep him.
To sweep him.
Yeah.
Well, on a serious note, when you are ready, and because one of the things I learned about competing too, not only for me, I love the way it brings people together. Like when you go and you have a bunch of people that you're very goal-oriented to put that down, and when you have this group of people that go and they bleed into each other, they help each other, and you go and support each other. I would love to see how you go through your process of getting ready for a tournament, because I know, and I value it, you talk to me about game plan, you'll ask me questions, I'll ask questions, and you've already helped me immensely. You might not know that. But then for me to just kind of see how you prepare for a competition, that would also be invaluable. And to see how you handle, how you present yourself during a competition too. So that'd be kind of cool. Just as me as a baby Brown, just kind of seeing you go through that when you're ready, and just kind of following, like, okay, this is a model for me. This is how he handles his business in steps, because that's what I'm hearing from you too. You're very checklist oriented, baby steps to get ready for a competition. Be very cool.
Yeah, so I treat each month like each month, like I say, I do one a month. That could be anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks between an event.
Yes.
So that's the camp. That's preparation. The first, up until 2 weeks out, is like I'm learning. Like if I'm working on something new, I can work on new in that time. if it's part of my game plan for that upcoming event.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's like, hey, I'm working a new move. I'm gonna try it in this competition, kind of thing. I feel I'm at a point with it where I'm ready to test it in competition.
Oh wow.
Nice.
All right,
I
so
like that.
and that might be something I'm working on for months leading up to, not like a few competitions. I never just like, oh, I watched this, I'm gonna go try it in this competition. Like I try not to do that. I try not to teach it too until I'm comfortable executing it.
Yeah.
Because I see people, they'll watch a DVD and then try to teach it in class the very next day. I'm like,
Oh.
you don't feel it. You don't have it yet. I'm like, so
It has to be muscle memory. It has to be.
Yeah, I try to avoid that. No, muscle memory is a good thing. All right, so when I get to the comp day, that's where everything's building up to. So 2 weeks out. All right, so of course I'm doing my dieting and everything. So dieting during that time, and then
Hey, really quick on that. Do you include Popeyes, Coke, Monster drinks, and all of that? Healthy stuff in that diet?
No.
Okay, just go ahead.
And
I was just checking.
And then when you actually consider jiu-jitsu to be a very important time of your life, do you routinely show up late for classes and also show up late for your promotion ceremony where you get your purple belt? Do you do that? I mean, him showing up, this person for a class on time,
Horrible.
much less ceremony. Oh, and also he was late for the ceremony because it was the wrong colored gi. It was so long since he'd been promoted because he was at blue belt. He didn't know that you'd have to wear white.
That's not very common, like at other academies, by the way. Well, from my experience.
It depends. I've come up in a very non-traditional gyms. Yeah. Like our promotions were sitting in the circle and it's like, hey, so belt.
Yeah.
Belt.
Cool,
right?
Yeah.
The whole performance that we went through, that was new for me.
What did you think?
I wasn't actually there. I was interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see the final product.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the demonstrations, so I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to weigh in on it because I didn't get to see it live.
Hey, what demonstration?
Yeah,
but
you'll be able to, right? Yeah, but no, I mean, just for me, I think when people like us put time into, and there's a lot of things we could choose to do with our lives. And for some reason, we're all drawn together to do jiu-jitsu, which a lot of people don't want to do because it is hard. Whether you're young, you're old, you're female, male, tall, short. And then to put in all that work and then to be recognized in front of your mat mates and your professor saying, you have earned this, to me, especially someone that's goal-oriented, because I believe I'm goal-oriented too. Not that I need it, but it's just, they recognize that I'm doing something right, And I was about belts too, but I wasn't expecting to get brown. I was hoping in the next year or so, but I was trying to, I think that's what happens sometimes when you start not thinking about the belt, but just like, I just want to enjoy and just try the best and be the best I can be. Those things come to you naturally.
It's like,
it's more organic.
It's like when you're sitting in a PowerPoint for like an hour and it feels like the longest hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like waiting for the next belt is.
Here's another example. When you try to hear someone deliver a joke and it takes forever. So we're going to go with this. Tell the zebra joke real quickly.
So zebra died and went to heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's trying up. He gets to St. Peter and he asks him, hey, St. Peter, am I black with white stripes or white with black stripes? Oh, wait, that's a question for the big guy up there. Go ahead. He opened up the pearly gates. There goes the zebra. That's where I'm going to end it.
Do you remember the punchline?
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, let's not.
No, I'm curious now.
After.
We'll tell you after.
We'll tell you later. Because then it gets a little...
it gets a little racy.
Yeah.
I could say shit, but...
So, that's a good segue to the pajama line.
Yes.
Tell me about the pajama line.
I'm going to disappoint you. I don't own it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But you're involved with it.
I am a sponsored athlete, basically.
Oh, cool.
No kidding.
That's all. Like the guys who own it is a Marine.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
They're based in North Carolina. It's DD214 Fightwear. Use code Fear the Beard. Get 10% off.
Yeah, look at that. That's why I thought it was his.
No, I just have a code.
Oh man,
But
That's still cool that you're sponsored.
that was interesting how I found that, because this kind of segued me into kind of, all right, my competition days are like numbered, or like I'm not gonna win world titles. I'm not gonna compete like I was. Like, I'm getting older and beat up. I had a hypnotic sponsorship, purple belt, and then that kind of died out. So I'm like, all right, and they just popped up, and like there was a few other military BJJs things, like it was like veterans in jiu-jitsu basically, and I was like, all right, I'm jumping in with these guys. I'm gonna buy their stuff and promote them. So I bought the rash guard, and I wore it, and I competed in it and won. And that rash guard, I went through 4 iterations of it, because they started it, they sent it out. I'm like, dude, this rash guard's not good. He's like, that's the feedback. We need the real feedback. So I gave him a bunch of feedback. They went through a few iterations, and all of a sudden, they're hitting me up for our no-gi gear. We just want the feedback. You're the only no-gi guy. And I just tell them, like, all right, this sucks, this works, this needs improved, whatever. Like, this is really good. And they get and then eventually they kind of get it worked out. And I kept competing in their gear. And so they're like, all right, hey, like, it turned into a sponsorship that way.
that is sweet.
Yeah.
Well, you pushed it as if it were your own, and that's amazing, because here I thought that it was your own line.
Yeah. So do they still take feedback from you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to push this new variation. We have gi and we have no gi, and just bear with me. I'm trying to push for like this branch off of the sport. It's called no gi.
That's where you don't wear no-gi and you don't wear gi.
You don't wear anything.
Yeah.
Would your sponsorship, that company, be interested in sponsoring me to compete in the no gi? I can wear a bracelet.
You wear a bracelet.
That just a little thing that says, what's the name of the company again, so we could hear it?
DD214
Okay.
Fightwear.
And then as I compete, can we bring up have you seen the Turkish wrestling before? Do you know what this is, Turkish wrestling?
Jamie,
No.
Can you bring that up?
Jamie, can you pull
This
up
is what I'm looking. But
Turkish
it's very popular.
Turkish wrestling?
And I think with your wrestling background, your build,
Right there,
and
yeah.
you could win money on this. I think you would be great at this.
I'm gonna plug their sister brand, American Murder
Okay.
Pajamas.
Yes, that's the one I know.
Yeah, that's
Right there.
that's the line that caters to the civilians.
Okay. So this is actually a real sport. It's called Turkish oil wrestling.
Go ahead and click on one of those.
That's a position I
Expand.
could. Yeah, you could click all.
This is starting to look like an average Tuesday night.
Okay, yes, but with your
Double click.
background,
There you go.
you could compete there. And what happens is you have, I think it's leather pants, correct?
I'm gonna be a world champ.
And it's. I heard the people that are a champ win something equivalent to $100,000. I haven't verified it, but it's a big deal. And so what happens is anything goes, but what you can do is you can put your hands in their pants to get leverage. Now, you leveraging me would be a lot easier than you leveraging him. I'm just saying that. But you could grab whatever you want in the pants, and that is part of the tactics. So you can see.
Right there. Look at the left.
Yeah.
Click on the one on the. Look at the one on the
Yeah.
left. Down. Go down.
Yeah.
And then to the left. Yeah, right there. What the hell is going on right there?
And because
Let's
I
play
want
a
to.
video. I want to see this.
I want.
don't want to see
Oh,
pictures.
I don't. Will we be banned if we put one of
No.
these? Oh, okay. Well, look at that. That guy getting ready. So I'm going to do a little narration here.
So what are they?
No, this is him getting his uniform set. We tied the belts for
that's
gi.
a uniform.
You need to make sure that there's no hand space there. He knows what's going to happen if someone gets the leverage. Okay.
So we need leather pants from
Leather
14
pants. Yeah, leather pants.
Josh, if you hear this, leather pants. That's next on the list.
Okay, so he's handing him. Of course, you want to get the oil out of the eyes, but you don't mind how much oil you get up
here
there.
we go,
Correct.
here
Here
we
we
go.
go. Slap him by good sportsmanship. Okay, we're gonna work on the stand-up game here. Okay, hand fighting. Okay, posture.
Inside control.
Inside control. There we go, black belt. Wiping his face. Because he's like, you know what? I'm going to grab that junk, baby. I'd be talking so much here. And you know what? If I don't like you, I'm going to let you grab my junk. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go.
Sprawl, snap.
Here it comes. There we go. Sprawl, snap, back up.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, all over your face, baby.
See, I'm
There you
still
go.
okay with this. It's when you start getting the hand.
Oh no, I know you get excited when they put that. When we were watching the other day and they were actually getting
How long
leverage.
is this video?
I don't know, but I think we'll move on there.
Jamie?
we got
Yeah, we
pictures.
got-
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
50
oh,
minutes.
this is
Go
a
ahead,
50
right there,
minute
right there,
round.
right there.
Yeah. Oh, he lost. What happened?
Oh, rewind it.
Oh, he is. Let's see what the finishing move was. Oh, here we go. Oh. So this is very popular, and they have boys do it.
This is
Oh,
normal
that's a
wrestling
shot.
right
It's
now.
This
normal
is
wrestling.
this is normal wrestling.
That's okay.
The oil included.
Oh, there it is.
There
Tap,
it is.
tap,
Tap.
tap.
He tapped.
All right, go to the next, right there, that little bump. Yeah,
Okay,
right there, right there,
Right
right there.
there. That's a
Right
start.
there. Oh,
This
shit.
is like
It's
EBI
on.
rules right here. This is to break the
Oh,
tiebreaker.
oh, there we go. Woohoo! Ay, papi. No.
I can't say I've done this, but I would say I'd probably be pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think you'd be excellent. So this.
I'm not dropping hints or anything.
Oh, here we go again.
Ouch.
This is a sport, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh. Oh, right. Oh. Leverage.
Well,
So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to
I
go
want
with
to point
the.
out the guy on bottom is just kind of letting it happen. Like he is not
He's
trying to. He's not trying really hard to get out of there.
I'm telling you, he's even arching his back and all.
Yeah.
But would you try to go to full guard, realizing that they could stick? I don't want to
I
give
think if
them
you
that
go on your
exposure.
if you
No.
go on your back, you're done. That's,
Wait. Yeah. I was like, 'cause I haven't seen a person go on their back yet.
Well, I'm working on this secret move for jiu-jitsu. I'm working
No.
on the peen lock. It's like a wrist lock,
Look at that. Look
except on the peen.
I use it when I take the back. It's called the third hook.
Oh, third hook. Well, I like that.
Third.
We'll work on that this
Well,
summer.
he's doing it right, pretty much right there.
Yeah.
He got his back with the third hook.
All right. Can we get back to
Yeah.
so real quickly, and then if I may, you were going through this. I want to hear from you too, because we had another guest, Davis,
Yep.
that you know very well.
Yep.
And he went through recommendations, which a lot of people appreciated, on what do you recommend for people to get off the couch to possibly start something like jiu-jitsu. What do you recommend for whites to focus on? Blues, purples, browns, black.
Like I kind of covered the belt thing earlier.
Mhm.
It was like
Yeah.
white. You're just gonna learn to get you're gonna learn to
Survive.
defend. Like yeah,
Mhm.
survive.
Yeah.
Blue.
Defend.
Blue, you're a sponge.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just want blue belt. I just want you to learn anything and everything, try it, discover what you like.
Okay, cool.
Purple belt is when you start trying to formulate your game, right? Start taking some of the stuff away. Brown belt's really about refining, and then black belt. Brown belt, you start learning to teach. I started teaching at purple belt. Very valuable, because you need to practice teaching as a black belt, right? And be able to present moves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a skill in that in itself.
Yes, there is.
So I think purple, brownish. You need to start learning. You need to start running like classes or something and learn how to teach. Because if you're gonna get to black belt, whether you're teaching a class or not, you might here and there, you're gonna get asked questions. It's like, and you need to be able to communicate that
Yeah.
in a way that's helpful. So
Put hand here, pull here. No, other hand here, pull there.
yeah.
That doesn't work, right?
Know what's the other part of that question?
No, you. And then what would you recommend for black belts?
Black belts.
Mm-hmm.
And black belts, they just need to
Stay the course, baby.
keep training.
Okay.
All right, so I run into this. You'll see a lot of once they get black belt, they get kind of complacent. All right, so they still got to keep learning, like keep up with the times. Like just because there's a new move out there, you don't need to make it your move, but you need to understand it. You need to understand how to teach it. And you need to understand how to defend it. Because all of a sudden, the relevancy in your gym dissipates if you don't keep up.
Yeah, and it seems that you're doing that thing as black belt. You say brown belt teaching, but when I'm a student in your classes, it seems like you genuinely like it. You like coaching us. You like coaching classes, like running classes, and I know you coach at other gyms too. Why some purple belts, brown belts, black belts will do that only because they're kind of obligated to. They've been asked by their professor. That's one thing. But it seems that you're passionate about it, and I want to know your take. Like, what do you enjoy about coaching? What do you enjoy about teaching?
As men, I think you need to have a purpose. and I've struggled with purpose, finding my purpose, and it comes through what do I have? The biggest skill I have is jiu-jitsu, teaching people, and I've never, when growing up, like I never wanted to be a teacher. I sucked at public speaking. And this, to the question you asked earlier, like to people, how do you get off the couch and do it? If you're thinking about it, just do it. Accept that you're going to get your butt kicked and just go, it's part of the process, right? And so I had to put myself in front of a class. I had to start teaching. I had to mess up in front of the class. I had to learn how to recover from that. I had to learn how to do that, and I just forced myself to do it. And now I have the skills to give back. Because everything's about giving back. It's bigger than yourself. If you don't do that, like it kind of messes the purpose, right?
And then speaking about you giving back, I wanted to touch upon Veterans Jiu-Jitsu and what that is and how you're affiliated with that.
So Veterans Jiu-Jitsu, it's Heroes now. But it's a program I came across, and the idea was veterans getting out. They don't know how to handle, especially post 9/11. The guys who've been in war for years straight, their PTSD, getting them together, trying to combat that, depression and everything just by bringing them together. And jiu-jitsu is a great outlet, and there's a lot of association between jiu-jitsu and military. You have ranks,
you have
right?
the belt,
Yeah, there's learning, there's teaching, it goes, and that's kind of the idea. Then that's in my classes. They're Heroes Jiu-Jitsu classes. So Tuesday at 10th Planet, and then Thursday at Soul Fighters. I make sure those are open to veterans and first responders, and that's my way of giving back. Like I teach. I have this skill. I have this community that I can associate with, and how can I help them? And so it's for me. That's just how that's why I feel about it. It's like, I can teach, I can give back. I give back to more, the students and everybody. They're my training partners. The fact that you willingly come and get your butt kicked by me on a daily basis helps me, right? So I'm giving back to you. I'm going to make sure you get better in that process, right? And we all grow. And I look at it as kind of selfish, but the better my training partners are, the better they're going to make me.
Right.
And it's like, especially when I was competing, I'm like, I wanted everybody there, and I wanted them to give their best effort because I wanted the biggest challenge I can get.
Yeah. You can't cheat them on their training, right?
Right.
Well, that's the way I look at it when I train with somebody. Like, I got to give it my all, because otherwise I'd be cheating them of their training.
That's the idea. It was weird. I remember one time training with T, speaking about T, this is we were getting, I think we were at some time a while back, and I thought he was going easy on me because I'm an old man and all that. And I actually got a little upset because I thought he was going easy, and it wasn't the best way to conduct myself. But I said, if I think you're going easy on me and all that, I won't train with you anymore, because I don't have the time to be training with people in a comp class. He has all the time that he needs because he's like 28, but I said, I won't train with you anymore. And it's the thing, and I think I misread it, but when people will push me, it's a iron sharpens iron. I'll be the nail so I can become the hammer. So I appreciate that, you guys working with me.
If T's listening to this, you can go easy on me.
T does not.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, T, you can go easy on me. I'm cool.
No, and then since then, T. I love the gym. So this is something we do. It's our affirmators, and you could choose any card that you want. And a lot of times, what we find out is that card is very applicable somehow to what we've discussed on the podcast. And if not, at least applicable to life. And if you could just pick any card, and then if you could read it for our audience. I can't open it up.
And keep in mind, sometimes they're very difficult to read.
Yeah, the wording is...
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Again, that Marine IQ.
Okay.
Warmth. Is there a camera I can show this to?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Which one?
That one.
That one?
Yeah.
All right. Warmth. I focus on warmth and let it guide all my interactions. No matter how others behave, I choose to respond warmly. With warmth, I can melt an icy exterior. I can soften any hard feelings. I can microwave any pizza. Today I adopt the saying, kill him with kindness and turn myself into a warm and loving serial killer.
Did you have the serial killer at the end?
No, that's all.
I know. I was gonna say,
That's real.
did you just add that last part?
So,
Kill him with kindness.
So what are your takes on that? We'll all kind of say what we think.
well, if you know me, I don't know that fits me per se. However, I would say this is what you would expect of a black belt. Someone who knows how to control themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you talk to like Bruno in there is very nice to everybody and thing, but he's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
He could be, right?
Oh, yes.
So he's very nice. Like he has the ability to do that. I think a lot of people expect that of black belts, or higher belts and coaches. There are things like the first thing she said to me when I met her is like I just introduced myself. She's like, please don't hurt me. That's what she said to me. Yeah,
Which I understand.
because we met right before a roll. It was like I should interest myself.
I didn't say it, but I was thinking it.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I mean, any black belt.
Thank you for not hurting me.
Thank you for not hurting me. Any
You're
black.
welcome.
You're welcome
As
for my
I
service.
busted her lip today.
Hey, you're welcome for my service.
Thank you for your service.
So,
Holding your broken arm.
oh, I forgot. Anyways, yeah, you're welcome.
So my take on it, if I may, and I'm not saying this to disrespect you, but I do think you have warmth, and maybe not in the terms of the general sense or the stereotypical sense, but you do have this caring matter about you. Your style is different. Just like you mentioned how in jiu-jitsu people have different styles, your way of showing, and obviously in the podcast of showing that you care for other people, cannot come about without some type of warmth. You talked about how you work with people in classes. I saw how you talked about how you try to give back.
Yeah,
you believe
that's
in the
warmth.
power of giving back. That is warmth. You talk about the heroes jiu-jitsu, and it might not be the stereotypical thing where you're like giving hugs and kisses, and God, man, I can imagine a kiss from you, but that's another thing with that beard.
Bring it in.
Yeah, beard versus beard. Okay.
Oh God.
One kiss, two beards. But
Entangled.
but warmth doesn't have to be, and this is just to teach me
That's a
in
kids
terms of that.
movie, man. Don't bring in kids movies into that.
What I was referring
also
to was not.
Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith entanglement.
But just like your jiu-jitsu
Where's our
style,
soundboard?
I think you have a lot of warmth. What about you, sir? No worries. I was just like, I'm trying to like focus with my ADHD. I'm trying to be serious, and I'm thinking of all these things.
This one's pretty easy to me. It's just be cool to everybody. Like that's what I get out of it, because you never know who you're coming across. So if you just keep that rule, be nice, be warm to everybody. You never know what'll happen in the future and what you'll end up experiencing.
And we don't know people's stories. Everyone walks around and everyone has a mask. And I just wonder when I talk to my students and my children, it's just, I don't know why it's so hard for people to be nice. And I said this in another podcast. We were talking about it in my class, the students were talking about, imagine everyone, when a kid said, why can't just everyone be 100% better and nice? And I said, well, that's great, but let's be more realistic. Imagine if everyone was just 1% nicer. What would that do to the world? And you can see these students, they're just like, whoa, we're sitting there. So for people out there, realize that people have stories. You might not like someone, you might not want to like someone, but just be the better person, be nice. Do something for someone. Can't be just all you. Just like the guest here, obviously he talks about...
The guest? Hold on. The guest?
The guest.
It's Chris.
Well, I'm trying to... He's our guest.
Orozco. Fear the beard. Orozco.
But
he's not the guest.
But he has all these things in terms of service, the military, and the way he teaches, the heroes jiu-jitsu. This is a guy who does things to serve others. And if everyone did that, it'd be a different world.
100%. That, I agree.
Someone was explaining to me one day, there's been struggle with purpose, a lot of mental issues that I have had to work through a lot. And like someone explained to me, it was like, yeah, you're giving back by teaching. And I'm like, I never looked at it that way. I'm like, I'm just doing something I'm enjoying. I'm trying to better myself, and I'm giving back in process of just trying to better myself.
Yeah.
So I never looked at it that way until someone pointed it out, and I started reading more about like finding purpose and ways to look at life a little bit differently that really kind of helped change my perspective on that.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit newer stuff in my life.
Yeah, and I've shared my mental diagnoses with people, and I won't do it here, but just to touch upon it. But for me, what helps is having jiu-jitsu, but more importantly, remembering the purpose. Like, what am I doing with my life here?
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
All right. Is jiu-jitsu, like everybody has the jiu-jitsu save my life story, right? Do you consider jiu-jitsu therapy?
I say it's mat therapy. When I came to Bruno, because I was looking at other gyms, looked at 4, and my wife was nudging me to go. And that's when lost my dad the month before. I was already diagnosed with major depression, anxiety, childhood trauma, PTSD, and we're working on getting that diagnosis for a third thing. So I was just not in a good place, and she goes, just go. So I ran down on a Friday night, and Bruno was cleaning the mats on his own, and I apologized, and basically just said, just come. And I was worried because I knew I wasn't going to fit in my gi. I compete at 165, and I was about 210. And he's just like, it changed me, and I wasn't big on that community circle, people talking. I'm like, I just want to go and kick ass, and it has made me a better person. Has it saved my life? I don't know. Has it enhanced my life and made me better for things I care about, like my kids, my wife, my friends, my students? Yeah.
Can I share a story with you, personal story?
Yes.
Here, related to that, because I feel very strongly about this. And I know I have a friend, a female blue purple belt competitor, and also a therapist. She weighed in on this, and I think it really kind of related to me. It's like jiu-jitsu, it enhances your life. I think it's a great way to put it. But I think anybody who dives into that, saying that jiu-jitsu is therapy, you're waiting for a rude awakening at the end. I went through it myself. It's like a Band-Aid or a medicine. It helps you get through a day or the moment or whatnot. But until you address the core issues, it's like, and that doesn't happen on the mats. That doesn't happen to jiu-jitsu.
No,
it's like
does not.
You have to do the work in order to better your life. I went through a lot of my life, like with some issues, like drinking and stuff, and depression as well.
I understand.
And it came back to bite me in the ass real hard. And guess what happened? When I got my black belt. So yeah, I say, because it was a Band-Aid. It really pushed everything off for a while. And then like I said, you have those goals, right? And then it's like, boom, I got my black belt. Now what? It's like, there's some triggers. Like, well, now, like, what am I working for? And then you start falling into some of these old things that just like years.
Because that distraction isn't there anymore.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
I've
reached the top of the mountain essentially, and now it's like, now what do I do? Right.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's a good Band-Aid. It worked for for a few years for me. And then there was something that tried to trigger it and kind of set me backwards. And that's when I really started focusing on like doing actual therapy and doing the actual work. Mm-hmm. And to say on a note that going through that, like I'm happier in this past year than I've been in my whole adult life.
Yep. And I will add, at least through my therapy, and this is Chris's part where he talks about if you're feeling anything, go talk to people, go get help. But at least with mine, it's happiness and joy, gratitude, purpose, all that. And I have felt better as an adult than I ever have also. And thank you for sharing that too, because I think the more that people hear about it from people like us, it normalizes it, because there is still a stigma, especially for my generation, where I'm Generation X, where you don't have feelings, you don't hug people, you don't say I love you, you don't cry, you fall down, you catch your knee, you just rub dirt on it. And the thing is that there's people out there, because that was me for a while, where I didn't know that I needed that support. And I had people like, the people say, it's okay, go get your help. And so I treat myself as a project. And what I do with the therapy is I work on myself so that I can enjoy things more and have the things I was dealing with. So I appreciate you sharing that, because that's another story that helps me on my journey to live a life that I want, which is joy, purpose, gratitude, and everything else.
You're stronger by asking for help. And
that's what they told me.
That was a lesson that took me forever to learn. It
took me forever.
Yeah.
It was the hardest thing to do was to ask for help. And the second hardest was when I needed the help to tell my wife that I needed the help too. Those are the two hardest things.
You don't want to look weak. You're taught to be strong. You're a man.
And the great thing that would happen, because I was so nervous, is she looked at me and she hugged me. And to be honest, and I've been with my wife since high school, I loved her even more. And she loved me even more because she saw that I was being more me, like I do.
Well, you were being vulnerable.
Yeah. So, and I was scared. I thought, but no, I appreciate you sharing that. Because I know that's going to help people that listen. Awesome. Thank you. It helped me just now.
Something I'm trying to push through is like with the heroes and everything. It's like there's a lot of those guys out there. They don't know that. They come to the mats. I'm like, you don't have to put yourself out there. But I started like, again, get off the couch. Go do the thing, right? There was one day where I just sitting in the circle. I'm like, I need to tell someone that I'm doing this. So like they can hold me accountable. Yep. Right. And ultimately holding myself accountable, but it's like, hey, I'm struggling. It's like if I'm off, sorry, and like just facing those challenges head on, like it's the only way to get them done.
Yeah.
And so I started doing little things like that. Like my family, we don't tell each other we love each other. My best friend would tell me he loves me, and I'm like, I'm not used to a guy telling me he loves me.
Yeah.
But like I just those interactions, I try to tell him I love you back, right? And just I talk to him because he's been through some of the same stuff, and now he and I like talk regularly. Just if we need to talk, we're friends. If we need to talk about something, we have that. We'll just hit each other up. And I have a handful of friends now I could share that with, and they understand.
It's your support network.
Yeah, and so I want to circle that back to I've learned to love the process. Because I did jiu-jitsu, I learned the personal growth process, and everything I'm doing, I'm still actively trying to live that and like love the process. I'm not just trying to fix the wound, right? Mm-hmm. I want to understand the process. Hopefully, it helps somebody in the future.
Yeah.
Because it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people have been in your situation, my situation, and a lot of people still in it. They're afraid to be vulnerable.
Yep. That creates a lot of anxiety, right? And that anxiety tends to, I don't know, before, like for me personally, that anxiety used to put me in a really bad, dark place, and I would lose it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was anxiety, by the way, until I was taught that. And that goes back to what you were saying. You got to work on yourself. So now that I know what anxiety is, I'm aware of it. I notice more anxiety, but it doesn't affect me anywhere near as it did before. It's like, oh yeah, I'm anxious. Yay. Big deal.
You can start regulating it.
Yeah.
And start kind of control reactions to everything.
Right. You control it, and you're like, okay, cool. You get over it.
You start learning the techniques. I try to treat it as mental jiu-jitsu, where when I'm feeling the things that you notice, it's just, okay, I've been trained by my therapist, which is, I call him my mind coach. And, okay, so if Chris is taking my back for the millionth time, I will try to use my technique. If I'm feeling depressed or anxiety, I'm going to try to use my technique. So it's that mental battle within myself. And so I feel like maybe I'm like maybe a blue belt, purple belt in terms of me being better, in terms of applying my therapy to my life. But then, just like he said,
I'm a white or a blue belt.
Yeah,
that's still new to me.
Yeah,
I've only been doing it for like a
year.
Two stripes.
Yeah,
2 stripes.
I've been doing it for about 2-3 years, and I'm continually learning. And then it's not a one thing deal too. It's an investment in myself. So I'll go and I'll say, I am a project. I am working on me. This is for me so I can be better for the things that are important.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that a lot. I love when you say love the process.
Like anybody who's out there that is listening and wants to know where to start is just be honest with yourself. Identify, I have this issue, right? You don't need to announce it to the world or anything, or you can talk to whoever you want. I started researching just things. And what I thought was an anger issue, I started doing anger management. And it really turned into just like these like trauma.
Yeah.
The anger was a result of trauma.
Yes.
And so like now I'm addressing the trauma. It's a long process. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, done a lot of research, a lot of therapy, talking to therapists, and all this stuff combined. It's like, and I've really enjoyed the process of the feelings I get of becoming a better person and not feeling depressed.
Yes.
Which
we
lived with for a long time.
And when I actually started feeling where they wanted to get me just as to stabilize me, I called my therapist and I said, is this why you've been trying to work so hard on me for the last 3 months? Because I resisted so much. They said, yeah. And I said, is this how normal people feel? I said, yeah. No, that's the way I verbalized it, because I had to pull off the side of the road because I was feeling something different I never felt in my whole life. I'm like, this is weird. And I cried my eyes out on the phone. He said, it's okay. And just for the people out there, reach out to someone. Especially for me, I was able to thankfully I get free services because my dad served in the military. So if you are a vet, there are services, I believe, out there. You can reach out to us where they will do an intake with you and ask you some questions, and then they'll provide you more information. But there are resources out there. You don't have to do it on your own, because for a big part of my life, I try to do it on my own, and it just is not the best way to live your life.
Yeah, the VA has come a long way. I mean, it's improved. When I got out, it was 2004. It was nothing like it is now. Now you get all these pretty services. I mean, it still kind of sucks, but it's a lot better.
I still have the wait times.
Yeah, the wait times. But before it was worse. It was just like a nope, you don't qualify, or no. It was very difficult to get into that.
Yeah, they did offer like yoga and like all these kind of meditation things, and there's a new like holistic approach to things, which is something kind of this path that led me towards. Like I don't ever want to take medicine, because I've tried the happy pills, I've tried this, and it's like, yeah, it's a Band-Aid. It got me through the day. I felt like a zombie, but it didn't fix anything. And it's like everybody there's all these people, they're promoting drugs or whatever. Like that's a Band-Aid too. It might make you feel good, but it doesn't fix the issue.
Yeah.
And like, it's all these things. Like, you have to do the work and fix the issue.
You have to do the work.
The VA Whole Health, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
I did some Tai Chi.
Yeah. Did you do Tai Chi? They gave me some yoga classes and like stretching and like stuff like that, and like all that stuff there.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't do the Tai Chi.
Tai Chi is I mean, it works because, let me tell you why it works. Because you're so focused on that at the time. That's it. So your mind is just like trying.
That's why jiu-jitsu works.
Yes.
You're only focused on surviving this guy trying to choke me.
Or you get choked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But again, I love
That's such a good point.
the point. Everything I learned in jiu-jitsu, like learning to love the process, learning how to approach learning how to do that, because it might not be the answer, but it is a blueprint for applying to everything else. Like, learn to love the process. Like, like, oh, I'm getting attacked. Calm down. I recently got invited to train police cadets. They're going through their training, and they put them in a really shitty spot. Like, I got to mount these people, and they don't have really much training. 40 hours of training at the time. That was it. And it was combat jiu-jitsu, essentially. I couldn't knock them out, but I could hit them. I wasn't allowed to submit them. I was controlling them. Me on mount, on untrained, basically spazzy white belts, but they had utility belts on.
Which is good for you.
I stripped
Right.
I stripped all their weapons out and all their gear. Yeah, a few of them I got their belts completely off of them. As an eye opener, I'm like, you're like, is it for these potential cops that they can be in some really bad spots. You don't know who you're coming across in the streets.
Yeah.
No idea.
And like the biggest thing I was taking away was like, wow, these guys, they were so like, they lost their composure so easily in those scenarios where like, I don't even think about it, but like you were asking me, because we did go off topic of like my prep for competition, but I've trained myself in all this stuff to the point where I go on the match, I'm just like, I'm composed, very composed in my matches.
Yeah.
Trying to like, because I know my game plan, it's in my head, right? And these guys just didn't have that. And it's like, when you're doing that, you're so scattered and lost and frustrated. Like in jiu-jitsu, like that's what's happening when you're getting choked, right? It's like, what's happening? I'm a white belt. I don't know, I'm gonna die, right? And now, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're trying to choke me? This is kind of funny. And I'm just like playing all along, whatever. I'm just like very comfortable being there. And it's the same thing as like how I prep for my competition. I go through my game plans and everything to be comfortable being there. I do it to be comfortable being there. If I'm in an altercation, like I'm going to be more comfortable with that high intense situation than the average person.
And 99.99999% of people.
You know, that's a beautiful part about jiu-jitsu versus like taekwondo, let's say. And taekwondo's cool. I mean, all those other martial arts are great, but they're all about form. They're all about practice on a dummy. It's not hands-on, and I think jiu-jitsu from day one, it's fucking hands-on. It's like, let's try to kill each other, and it makes a difference because in the real world, when you're in that position or in that situation, you're not going to freak out because you're already used to, you kind of do it all the time on the mat.
Yeah. Everything's a kind of a factor. It's like, what am I being introduced to, right? So I think cops have to train a certain way, self-defense I have to train a certain way. Just sport jiu-jitsu is a different way.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to focus your training on what you want to do, what you want to be prepared for, right? Because like the moment someone has a knife in me, I'm like, have I practiced grappling against a knife? I'm like, have you thought about that? Run. Yeah. Like, de-escalate.
De-escalate. Let me buy you a beer. You want a beer, bro?
Like, I've never had to use my jiu-jitsu in the competition's closest, most intense I've ever had to use it. Because like someone's getting a high head, I'm like, all right, well, I hope you have a better day, bro. Like,
Well, it's your composure. Yeah. All right.
Heck yeah. I love this. It's been such a great episode. Thank you again for joining us. It's been an honor you sharing your story because we got pretty deep in there.
Yeah.
And thank you.
I've been big on it. I hope it inspires someone else to take the right steps in their life.
Yes.
And if it gets you on the mats, even better. If not, find your jiu-jitsu. Find your thing. Give yourself purpose.
Find your purpose.
This guy say he doesn't have any warmth. Teacher. No disrespect. Come on, dude. Got all those things.
A parting word, sir. Let's go.
So, another great podcast. Thank you for coming. We learned about his background, high school. He needed a way to pay for college. Went through Marines, 5 years. Went to Illinois State. Go Illinois State, IT. And then he discovered jiu-jitsu when he wanted to work on his health. And then in a mere 9 years, he's at a one-stripe black belt, I believe. Gave great advice, twice actually, about white, blue, purple, brown, black. Likes to compete. But the main things that I got from him, and just when he talks about things like vets jiu-jitsu, him teaching is the things that came out routinely, it's love the process. He has this goal-oriented mindset. It's a champion mindset, and it's not necessarily in terms of competing, but it just sounds like when he talks about different things, no matter what we talk about, he just is systematically looking at these are the things I want to do to be successful with this, whether it's on the mat or off the mat. And he even mentioned, he stole some of my thunder, where he said it's a blueprint. It applies to life, and I see that he does that. So he is doing a lot of the things in terms of affecting people, through his loving the process mindset.
That's outstanding. Good job.
Well,
That summarizes it really nice.
He makes me sound warm.
well,
Are you getting the warm and fuzzy?
Well, part of it is strategic, and I just want to be transparent. If he likes what I say next
He's
time
not
we
gonna-
roll, he's not going to
Like,
try to take
Not gonna beat
pieces
you
of
up
my
as much?
body off of me.
No, Joe's never going to call me warm again after our next roll. just to teach him a lesson.
If they like me, they treat me nice. If they don't like me, yeah.
Yeah, and on that note, so on 3, there's that camera right there. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, El Pinche Podcast. Ready? 1, 2, 3, El Pinche
Pinche
Podcast. You gotta flex. You gotta flex. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, El Pinche Podcast.
Find your process.
Or Rachel
Love it.
didn't flex. She's over here working out.